Hey folks, Chip and Robber out here in an undisclosed location in the Intermountain West at a site that is on the National Register of Historic Places. And we are looking at an Adobe home that was built, we think, sometime around 1880 and was occupied until 1912. It's a really good example of what they call territorial adobe, in that it sort of mixes elements of both Anglo and Hispanic building methods. Of course, adobe being the Hispanic building method, but then also with some very fine interiors and unique construction techniques that are more anglicized. For instance, this home, instead of using the large traditional 16 by 4 by 8 adobe brick, uses pretty near normal brick size, clay brick size, fired brick size bricks, but is built in a triple wythe pattern. That means that these walls are 3 adobe bricks thick, and the way that they're bonded is that the bricks are stacked in what we call a common bond, where they're spaced normally. These are called the headers, the ones that lay this way. And then about every 5 courses, you'll run into these shorter ones that are turned on their side and go into the wall, and these are called stretchers. And so these bricks, they sort of hold the wall together. So you have a common bond and a common bond. Then you have a set of bricks in between that every 5 courses are sort of laid over this way to hold the wall together. It makes for a very strong wall. And then also, some of the more traditional building methods is, instead of an earth and or dirt floor, you would have regular floor joists along with a plaster where the plaster is laid over the bricks. The brick acts as a lath with these little areas in here as keyways to hold the plaster in place like a lath would, and then it's just plastered over with a nice sand plaster and then finished with a lime plaster. And very nice, very comfortable living space. This house has not been occupied since 1912, and so naturally it has fallen into disrepair. It's deteriorated. It's literally melting back into the earth. But we wanted to show it to you because in its day, it was a very pretty house, and it shows what you can do with adobe. It doesn't have to be a Pueblo style home. This home was built in what they call a territorial style, with gables and things like that. So even the headers above us are offset about every 16 inches. But this house is more vernacular in that it's using local materials. It uses earth from this site. It uses cottonwood for the door trims and the floors, and from this site. This whole site is just surrounded by cottonwood. This river is surrounded by cottonwood. And so, they use the materials that were available to them here. And that's what we want to do at Contentment. We want to take advantage of the materials that are available to us, build a comfortable home like this one was. Now, I thought I'd show you a detail on this home. And, a lot of people who are building adobe homes probably wonder, hey, how do you get the wood trim for doors and windows and things like that to adhere to the brick? Do you nail them in? Do you screw them in? What do you do? And this is a good example of how it's done. You insert pieces of wood in places of where brick would be at different levels, and then that provides the screw or nail support for your door trim. And it's really an ingenious way of doing it. You'll notice up here that the door header, a nice thick piece of lumber, that is as wide as this wall is thick, that stretches across here and supports all of that heavy wall brick above, and then also provides a nail surface that you can attach the door trim to, or the door openings to. Talk about putting windows and doors in a house. Nowadays, when you build an adobe house, you pre-construct a door and window opening out of wood that's nice and square, and you insert it in the wall as you build, and you build up around. Then later you install your windows. These windows were built in as the house was being built at the same time. The sides here were installed in the walls, but they were also embedded in the brick below as it went up. And then only later on were the trim pieces put on. But as you can see, here is the piece of wood that was originally inserted into the wall as a brick and then later attached to. So nowadays we wouldn't install a window like this, but in those days they actually built the window as they went and then later installed this final trim.
Oh, there goes a lizard.
Okay. See a nice one?
Mm-hmm. Some scat animals have been up in here. There's some kind of something in the window. What is that?
Porches provide a nice wide eave over which you're able to protect the brick. And there are porches on every side of this home. No doubt, to shade from the sun, to provide an outdoor space to sit and relax or to do something. But also, they just are very important in this territorial architecture and Adobe construction period to make sure you have a good overhang over the house to protect these Adobe bricks from moisture. And so, as you can see, the roof went away a long time ago, and therefore the porch came down and has rotted out, but parts of it are still here.
So what do you find most fascinating about this place?
Overall, I guess I would have to say the fact that it just shows that Adobe isn't a yesteryear product, that you can build a modern home with Adobe and it'd be very beautiful, very comfortable, and very livable. And so that's the thing that impresses me most about this site. The other thing is of course the architecture, the territorial architecture. The man who built this house was a lawyer who came out here from Pittsburgh, and he built this home, in sort of a fashion or a style that reminded him of, what he had back east, I guess. And so it just shows that, Adobe is not stuck in the Pueblo style. That can be used for lots of modern styles. I guess that's what. So, Robert, what impresses you?
Well, of course the architecture and the design is quite eloquent and nice, but when I come to a place like this, I think more about everyday life, what it would have been like living here, waking up in the morning. First off, you look out this window and you have this amazing view, and you can see the river and all of these breathtaking views all around you. You get up, you got to prepare for the day, because this house is old, and so your whole day involved some sort of work to keep the place going, to prepping meals, making meals. But of course, life was much different then, and you didn't have 3 squares a day and things like that. And I think of what kids would have done around here, because it would have been an amazing adventure for children, all of the fun places to go and explore and the things to do, all the imaginary games and things like that.
Well, this ranch was occupied and run and owned by a woman who ran it mostly by herself until 1912. She and her husband built this place, the attorney. They built this place sometime in 1880, 1881, something like that. But then they soon divorced, and she ran this place by herself until 1912. So, imagine being a woman out here on the frontier. You are from Pittsburgh or wherever, and you've come here out into this wilderness and are running a cattle ranch and perhaps a farming operation out here in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, it had to have been quite an adjustment, but boy, what a nice house to live it in, huh?
What I find interesting too is that the age of this building even though it's in ruins, remnants are still standing, and it's years and years old. So that is a testament to the, well, it's not the solid, but the durability of these natural materials that can withstand years and years of different temperatures, different weather conditions, and things like that.
We haven't taken any of the bricks from the site because it's a historic site. You can't do that. But it would be interesting to take one of these bricks, if we could, and sort of pull it apart, analyze it, and see what it is. These bricks appear to be comprised with a lot of sand and less clay. And so for that reason, they've really tempered these bricks with a lot of small pebbles and things like that to hold them together. But even as you run your hand over it, you still get some of that sand that just brushes right off. And you know, example of an Adobe brick that's a little heavy on the sand, a little light on the clay, but still usable. Still got great compressive strength. As you can see, can still build a good strong wall. And one of the interesting things about this house, we talk about the putting together of Anglo and Hispanic traditions in building. The corner of this house, and it appears to be only the corner, is reinforced. These bricks are reinforced with concrete instead of earth and plaster, and as you can see, the adobe is melted away and the concrete mortar has remained. Looks like they just did it in the corners to provide added strength. Kind of cool. Hey folks, thanks for watching our video. We have some more video coming up for you, including some more history on Adobe architecture, and also we're going to test those bricks we made a few weeks ago. So please stay tuned for some fun and information.
And please like, subscribe, and share.
Thanks again, and please stay with us till fall because we've got a big giveaway planned. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
That's a good one.